Okay, so I want to talk about what I just experienced. There's something about smooth oxygen. I know I already talked about oxygen before, but I want to talk about what I just experienced. And it was like I was in my house. Well, I'm in it now, and I was like, I don't know. I had coffee, and then I moved through my system, and then I didn't really know what to do, so I started talking to myself and just talking and talking. And it's like, I'm really confused by societal norms, by society in general, because I can't understand why we have problems. I kind of feel like, if something's uncomfortable, then we should just stop doing it. We should just stop doing that. Like, I can't understand the whole gender situation, and I can't understand race and stuff and why we worry about it. I kind of feel like if there's a problem with like judging it, then we should just stop doing that. I know it sounds like, people might look at this and be like, oh, it's easy for you to say. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I mean, it seems like a very easy solution to the problem is just to stop doing it. Like, if we want to stop like gender bias and we want to stop like racial bias, then we should just stop. We should just stop doing that. I feel like we should start enjoying ourselves more often, like enjoying nature and being outside. I feel like that makes me very, very comfortable and excited at the same time because, it's like we worry about weight and we worry about being judged and what we look like and what we wear and all this stuff. And I'm like, I can understand that, like, totally that we would worry about things like that. But then I think about animals. I think about animals and how simple life is when I think about children, it's like they're just so simple and happy and they just say whatever's on their mind and they just move around. They eat whatever they want and they move around and they don't worry about sex. They don't worry about anything. It's like you just grow into it and it just happens naturally. And it's like just by being yourself and like, just doing whatever you wanted and following your heart and like being outside more often. I think, just like I was, I ate Doritos and then I ran around for a while and then I stubbed my toe on the carpet and then I just like laid down and I was like playing with stickers and then I like felt a heat in my foot where like in my toe where I had hit it. And then it was like this warming sensation in my foot and it was like I knew instinctually that it was healing it and that I just needed to give it a minute. And then it was like I just started talking. I started talking about like sexual experiences that I've had. And then it took my mind off of it completely. And then it was like I just got up and I didn't even remember about my toe until I started talking about it. And it's like something about the oxygen in your own system. Like the oxygen is everywhere and it like just warmed up and it healed it immediately. And then it was like I didn't really know what to do. So I was like listening to Spirit and they were like, just go outside and smoke a cigarette. I was like, okay. So I went outside to smoke a cigarette. And then I was talking about what I just talked about, like, the gender thing and the race thing. And I was like, we should just stop all that nonsense about judging and having problems with it. And then like the neighbor came out and she's like, she's a female species and she was smoking a cigarette and I remember like trying to wave, but she was like totally in her own mind and she was like with her electronics and stuff, but I was like still enjoying the moment of like it like stopped me from talking and I just like enjoyed the moment that personality was outside. And then it was like in that moment I felt the sunlight and I felt this wind come over me, this very smooth wind, smooth oxygen. And it was like in that moment I didn't need to talk and it just smoothed over my whole body. And I felt the same smooth wind that was blessing my skin. And my cigarette felt the same smooth wind as the wind. My cigarette smoke was the same as the wind. There wasn't any difference. And I was like, this is amazing. And it felt so, so good. Like there's something about that smooth, silky, like oxygen that like calmed me down and sped me up. And it like makes me feel very, very good. And, yeah, I don't know. There's just something about nature and there's something about just going outside that seems to smooth everything over. I mean, there's just something about, I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter where you are, but, you know, it's something about just saying whatever is on your mind, even if it, like, confuses people. Because I don't even understand why it would confuse people to just say whatever on your mind. You know, it's like, I make so many decisions in some respects. It's like, I'm in Connecticut right now, and I want to move to Pennsylvania. Because I see so many possibilities happening over there, because they want to do this whole commune thing where we all like live together and like we, you know, I'll be like a housemaid or something where I just sort of like clean the house and like, you know, do whatever they need me to do, and that's like how room and board will be paid. And then it's like, you know, like we all have our own little job and we'll just work together and stuff, and like that makes more sense than worrying about like anything else. I feel like, you know, when I make decisions in a way that isn't going to school, that isn't having a job per se, like societal jobs, and by making these decisions, I feel like I confuse a lot of people, and they're always giving me suggestions like, oh, you should really get a job, you should really do this and that, and all I can think in my head is like, why? Why would I do that if I don't have to? If I have the choice to do whatever I wanted, then why would I do that? I feel like, you know, people are really important, and nature is really important, and following your heart is really important, because when I think of all the difficult decisions that have to be made when you have a job, when you have a car, when you have all these things, it's like now you've got to pay your debts. Now you've got to worry about taxes. You got to worry about having a license. You got to worry about everything. I mean, you literally have now this cyclical issue of like a little, like kind of like stress. But then I think about, even if you had those jobs, just by having people around you to help you out with like anything, like that's what I feel like I'm meant to do. Like I'm just meant to like soothe the situation by like helping out however I can, even if I don't have a car and I don't have a lot of money and I don't have a lot of resources. I feel like just by being that individual for like this couple I want to stay with in Pennsylvania, I literally pick up like the stress that might be overwhelming for them by just being that extra personality to like pick up, you know, whatever it is that might be overwhelming for them, like, you know, laundry or cleaning or like, you know, learning. I don't really know how to cook much, but you know what I mean? Like just having that extra conduit to like talk to and experience. And, you know, there's just something about that. There's something about having like an extra set of hands, like an extra helpmate that just soothes the whole situation. And you don't need a whole lot. You just need to be yourself type thing. And I feel like my decisions to do that are like confusing a lot of people around me, which is interesting to me because that confuses me as to why they'd be confused that I'm making decisions. But I guess that's the way things go. I don't know. This is why things confuse me so much, because I can't understand why we don't just follow our hearts all the time. I can't understand why we feel the need or we should or we have to do the things that we always do, these carbon copied lifestyles. And I'm like, well, I don't know, maybe we should change that. You know, if we really don't like it and it's really stressful, I'm like, well, why don't we just stop doing that and do something else? You know, why don't we just get a plot of land and like, you know, grow whatever we want, or like trust the trees to grow whatever we need, or like, you know what I mean? Like, why wouldn't we trust that? Is that what it was in the beginning? It sure seems like it. I think about tropical areas and how they don't even need a house. They just lay outside in the sun and they enjoy all their resources. They don't need anything else. They don't need a job. They just enjoy life. And their skin is impeccable and their emotions are impeccable and everything is just impeccable and beautiful. And I'm like, wow, you know what I mean? Like, maybe if we just trusted our hearts more often and stopped all the things that were freaking us out and stressing us out, and we all just came together with all the resources that we already have, then the possibilities really become endless in that situation. At least that's the way I look at it, you know what I mean? And I know it might seem like simple and confusing for me to say this, but that's really how I feel. Like, even if it's not immediate reality right now, I'm making decisions to create that reality by moving away from where I am now and helping them with helping them in a situation. You know, just by helping people. I feel like just by helping people and, like, you know, by counting on people, you know what I mean? Like, they count on you and you count on them. And just by helping people and their emotions and what they need help with, it literally, like, helps you in the end too. Like, you end up helping everything. And that's what I believe, you know what I mean? I believe in that perfect situation because of course it exists. If I can picture it and I feel it and down to my bones and I go outside and I feel that smooth oxygen no matter what I eat, no matter what I smoke, no matter what I drink, and I still feel the same smooth oxygen, then to me that's the truth. That it doesn't really matter what we're doing. We just need to be happy and follow our hearts and stop stressing out and stuff. Even if you exhaust all of your resources, your money, your clothing, your everything, you know what I mean? If we just let go of all of that and followed our hearts and stopped worrying about what we needed, maybe you know, nature would surprise us more than we could possibly imagine. At least that's what I believe. Okay, that's all I have to share for now. Thanks for watching.